The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Welcome back to part 2 of the Forever Fab podcast with my fabulous guest, Brooke Harley. Now, Brooke, name one favorite thing that you have gotten or given without expecting anything in return.
Wow. One thing I've gotten without expecting anything in return, or one thing I've given without expecting anything in return. Well, one thing that, have you ever taught a course? Have you ever been teaching before?
Yes, I have.
So I've found that you end up impacting, put it this way, I've never been an instructor of anything before I started this company. And I've found that when you put something out in the form of education, we're just trying to help people, right? Not charging like exorbitant, just trying to help people learn something. I find it just comes back to you in the most serendipitous ways.
Yeah.
So the courses we did were really a community service. We charge a little bit because we want people to show up,
of course,
and value it. But I have found, the serendipity of what comes back when you're helping people like that is the giving the giving has come back to me much more than I've put it out there. We'll say that in terms of who you meet, what they have to say to you, what comes into your life. And I think more people should, when they get a chance, should use their time to teach, because it's way more rewarding than you would realize.
And speaking of rewarding, what do you do for self-care or self-replenishment or self-nourishment?
Yeah. The number one thing, I don't know if you've ever invested in a personal trainer, but yes. I feel like, if money were no object, I would have a personal trainer. I would have a nutritionist. I would talk to my therapist like 3 times a week, if money were no object. But for me, the one investment that really hits a lot of those things is having a personal trainer to go to for strength training. I find strong body, strong mind.
Yeah, agreed.
I never feel more confident than when I am working out with a personal trainer, and I'm always like, it's expensive, but I never feel like I feel most beautiful. I feel most confident. I feel most like myself if I'm training myself physically.
Yeah.
So that is the self-care for me. I mean, what about you? Have you ever hired a trainer?
Yes, I've hired trainers in the past, and I don't know what it is about personal training. I guess I have a problem with being accountable in some ways, even though I'm accountable all day, every day, all my life as a physician. But I just feel as if outside of, my professional practice, I'm like, okay, I don't need you to kick my butt because I could only do 3 push-ups. So I actually feel the same way about yoga that you do, the personal training. So I love yoga.
I definitely found yoga at a difficult time in my life. I was I'd left my law practice in 2008, and 4 days later, Lehman Brothers went down. And I don't know where you were during the financial crisis, but I almost lost my house to the bank. It was an extreme situation. It was so stressful. And my friend one day dragged me to hot yoga.
Yeah,
and
that'll do it for you.
I was like, "What a gift! Honestly, what a gift!"
Yeah.
And that's actually what led me down the path to pursuing my role with the CFO of Lululemon was being introduced to the gift of yoga, and
Wow.
it's something we believed in the company when I worked there. It was an interesting place to work.
Yeah.
Many good things, many crunchy granola things, but I definitely think yoga is a gift for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I do too, for sure. So do you have a fashion obsession? And if so, what is it?
That's so interesting. My fashion obsession, I really love the jumpsuit, like
Really?
the uniform. Yeah, just put on the one piece.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it looks. I feel like it's flattering, but it's kind of tough in the same way. There's some days, we talked about having less and less stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I move more towards like, I just want a few things and have like a uniform. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like an iconic uniform is what I want to wear. And
Yes.
if that were socially acceptable, which I don't feel like we're there yet, I don't feel like you can wear the same thing every day.
Not
But
quite yet.
if we could, it would be that it would just be a one piece jumpsuit. That's it. I just want to wear a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And so I noticed in New York, the Glossier team, was wearing pink jumpsuits.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this just needs to pervade society. It's such an easy one piece to wear,
It is. It is. It's so true. My only issue with jumpsuits sometimes, and I love jumpsuits, but when you have to use the loo, it's like, okay, it's a process. Okay.
That is true. That is true. There's some drawbacks to this outfit, but no, I love it whenever I see people in it, especially women. I'm like, not a lot of women will rock the jumpsuit. It's almost sort of a masculine, like feminine masculine look. Whenever I see women especially wearing it, I'm like, that looks good.
Yeah, I love a good jumpsuit too. Agreed, 100%. Do you have a beauty obsession, or what's your personal skincare beauty routine? Let's go there.
Oh, yeah, I feel like it's dropped off. Like the truth is, I'm like scared to say it. It's
no worries.
I used to invest in like La Mer and all that kind of stuff. And I've found that Nivea does the $6 jar of Nivea does pretty much the same thing.
All good.
Speaking of, my girlfriends have a company called Skin School where they built this algorithm, and you can type in your most expensive favorite skincare product, and then it gives you the 98% dupe.
Oh
okay?
My God.
Skin School Beauty. So yeah, it's basically exists to save you money. So it's
That's
like
cool.
if you love the super expensive facial oil for $280, oh, here's the 98% dupe of it, and it's $35.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, I use like a bar of soap and Nivea, and I used to use the La Mer and all that, but I stopped.
All good. All good. I'm definitely going to look into Skin School Beauty. I think that's actually a really cool concept. I mean, I do both, right? High, low, whatever. And I'm an ingredients person because I'm nerdy that way. So I can, dissect a label, but I know a lot of people aren't interested or just don't do that. But I think Skin School Beauty is pretty cool.
They have a database of 35,000 products with every single ingredient. And that's how they do the comparison. It's pretty amazing, actually. I mean, the other beauty thing I just tried, which I have to say I'm loving, is I did do the microbladed eyebrows.
Oh, and what do you think?
I love it. I love it. Highly
Easy,
recommend to everybody. Yeah. Like you don't have to fill them in anymore.
No.
Like, yeah. So that's another beauty, skincare. I'm like, this is staying as part of the regimen.
Okay. So speaking of that, I know you sort of simplified your skincare routine, but what one beauty product do you think you spend too much on? Just one.
Well, for sure. It used to be La Mer, for sure.
And now?
It's like this long hair.
Yeah. It has to be something. I mean, there's always something, right?
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. I know this is being recorded, but yeah, my hair is normally thin, and, doing the longer hair is not,
game changer.
I mean, the hair, yeah, it is, but hair is too expensive. It's this beauty industry is it's so expensive.
I know.
But yeah, the longer hair is not totally mine. I mean, I bought it, I own it, it's mine, but
That's right. Girl, own it. You
Mhm.
own it. It's all yours. It's all good.
Yeah.
And this brings us to our last question.
Mhm.
Fabulous, Brooke Harley. What are your top five fabulous recommendations for living a beautiful life?
I think what the number one thing I think, and my friend asked me the other day, she's like, "What woo-woo things do you believe in? What woo-woo things do you believe in?"
Yeah.
And I said, I do think, like, if we can believe this, I do think that sometimes good things fall apart so better things can come together.
Ah,
I do believe it's worth considering that to be true.
yeah. So sometimes good things fall apart, so better things can
Come
come in.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
Um, I think exercise, someone said to me, strong body, strong mind. And I
Yep.
so believe that to be the truth.
Yep. Agreed.
So keeping your body fit, and exercising as stress relief, is a big one. I think, most end of life researchers, when it all comes down to it, is like the quality of your life are we still there?
Yes.
The end of life researchers say that the quality of your life comes down to the quality of your relationships.
Yeah.
And one of the best books that I read that reinforced that view is How Will You Measure Your Life? By, I can't remember, it's Christian. He's a Harvard professor. He did pass recently. So investing in your physical health, investing in your relationships,
Yes.
believing that sometimes you don't get what you want because there's something better on the way. Those are definitely in the top 3.
Okay. What's your number 4?
I think that helping people makes us happy. And I think there's a lot of research on that.
Yes.
If you can use the position that you have, the education that you have, the platform that you have to make a difference in people's lives, I think that sometimes helping other people makes you happier than it does them. So I think that's an ingredient of happiness for sure.
I hope I'm doing that with this podcast. So thank you.
Yeah.
And your number 5?
I think the last thing is it's important to take care of something other than yourself. So it maybe the first thing is your kids. If you don't have kids, maybe it's your pets, maybe it's just plants. But I do think being responsible for other living things is foundational to our happiness as well. So I think I would place these top 5 things, whether they're beliefs or practices, as things that are foundational, at least to my happiness, because I've given it some thought.
Yes, you have. And you know what? You not only have you given it some thought, but you're actually doing something about it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Brooke Harley, thank you so much for spending this time with me today on the Forever Fab podcast and talking about not only Class Rebel and what you're doing to democratize wealth and financial education and ultimately allowing access to freedom for all. So thank you for Class Rebel. Thank you for your time. And thank you for having this vital conversation.
Thank you, Shirley. I really appreciate you having me. Thanks so much.
Such a pleasure. I hope to see you again soon. And you will see me in your classes.
Okay. I would love to have you. We'll see you there.
Fabulous. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. This brings us to our close of this week's episode of the Forever Fab podcast with my guest, Brooke Harley. Get your financial life in highest order and sign up at classrebel.com. As always, if you like this episode of the Forever Fab podcast, please share it and subscribe to the feed. Listen to past episodes or check out who's coming up next on foreverfabpodcast.com. If you enjoy listening to the Forever Fab podcast, get more audio and visuals with a membership through Patreon. Choose the gold, platinum, or diamond tier for premium added content, special co-hosts, lifestyle videos, branded merchandise, and private access to my clubhouse. Do all this and more by visiting patreon.com/foreverfab. Are you a brand? Do you want your brand or product featured on the Forever Fab podcast mini-series of 15 minutes of fab? If so, go to foreverfabpodcast.com and contact me using the contact form. If you're a founder or you represent a beauty brand and want to be featured on an episode, please send me some stuff. Again, visit Forever Fab Podcast and fill out the contact form. For general holistic beauty tips or to set up an appointment with me to discuss your personalized options for leveling up your beauty, go to elementsandgraces.com and contact me or sign up for my newsletter. For an online e-consultation on time, anytime, and on your time, visit clicklift.com for your wellness, plastic surgery, and beauty questions on the go. Visit click-lift.com. And speaking of on the go, if you don't want to go anywhere or leave your home for your next beauty maintenance appointment, look out for Jet Set Beauty RX, offering mobile aesthetic medical services such as injectable fillers and multivitamin facial treatments at your home. It's the new modern version of a house call. Jet Set Beauty RX is coming to your neighborhood soon. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever Fab podcast episode. Until next time, stay beautiful and fabulous inside and out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.